Here's my custom-built Yeti SB165. At its core, it's an enduro bike that is intended to pedal and descend well. But today, we're going to be intentionally making this bike more difficult to pedal. Obviously, this is a bit unorthodox, so let me explain. When looking at my bike more closely, you can see that this isn't your typical SB165. It's got a single speed setup and the front brake is routed through the steer tube. The reason that I've got this bike set up this way is to give me the option to do bar spins and tail whips. However, this week when I started doing my first few tail whips on this bike, I ran into a major problem. Aside from my own lack of talent on a few of the tail whip attempts, I was struggling to land them consistently due to my crank spinning. So today, we're gonna modify my bike so this doesn't happen in the future. Alrighty, so here is my SB165, and here is the drivetrain setup. We got the Saint crank, 165 mil length, 34 tooth chainring, top and bottom Shimano guide. And in the back, we're running the Saint derailleur set up as a tensioner held in place by a little piece of shift cable there. And we've got a Steez little 6-speed cassette. And when I initially built up this bike, I had anticipated that the top and bottom chain guide was going to give my chain enough resistance to keep my cranks in place for no-footed tricks. But as I have since learned, that ain't the case. So we are going to further modify this bike right now. So from what I can tell, there's really two potential possible solutions for this crank spinning problem. The first is to buy a product that's manufactured and intended to do exactly what we're looking for, and that is to stop these cranks from spinning. However, these products all seem to be coming from Europe, and from what I can tell, they're either out of stock or just not being made anymore, so that's not really a viable option. So our second option is to head to the hardware store and figure this out ourselves, so that's what we're gonna do. So we just got back from the hardware store, and here is the solution I came up with. So this is 1.5 inches to 1.25 inches coupling, and the bigger side of this is just big enough to slide over the Shimano Saint BB shell. So what this is going to do is it is going to add pressure against the crank arm and add resistance to my cranks and hopefully make them stop spinning. Well, I go back to the start, think about the time when we're apart. Feeling so much down, always up and down, digging a little deeper. So that's right where we're going to install that coupling. So we're going to get that whole area cleaned up. And here is the inside of the drive side crank arm. So the coupling is going to sit kind of right about there and going to provide some nice friction against these cranks and hopefully get them to stop spinning. It gets dark way too early. Sunshine, won't you come back to me now? You won't ever see. So there is the test fit of the coupling. As you can see, it's just cut a little bit long now, just for the sake of seeing how it all is gonna go together. But as with any good modification, we have ran into a major roadblock. So our roadblock is that when I go to install this hose clamp to properly fasten this all together, I cannot get the hose clamp where I need it. So we're gonna have to pop off this chain guide, put this all together how I need it, and then see what the options are. Here we've got it all installed without the chain guide, so we're just going to quickly test fit the cranks and see how much stopping power this is giving us. Damn. So with our test fit here, we already have a ton of friction in the crank arms, which is amazing, but there is one problem, and that is that the non-drive side bolt that tensions the two arms together is not all that tight. So I'm thinking this is a bit overkill. So our next step is gonna be to pop these cranks off, shave that coupling down a little bit further just to refine the tension, and then we're gonna be well on our way to finishing up this modification to the SB165. If you're enjoying this video, please consider giving it a like and please consider subscribing for future uploads. So let's hop back in and finish this up.
That's in front of me. When did I let it slip away? I've never cared what people say. Oh, but the dumbest thing I said was to tell you I'm okay. When did I leave it all behind? I thought that was our pride. Spent it on the bed, dancing with no.
So this is the tension check after adjusting the coupling there. About perfect, I would say, and that is with the non-drive side tension bolt all the way cranked. So I think it's time to look into a chain guide option. Taking a look now to try to get a chain guide fit. There is no way that thing is gonna fit with the adjuster from the hose clamp, but I feel pretty confident that this little top guide here is gonna fit just mint. So I think that's gonna be kind of the best of both worlds. Let's get this all mounted up and we're gonna be done for the day.
Time has held me safe. I lost all that's in front of me. When did I let it slip away? I've never cared what people say. Oh, but the dumbest thing I said was to tell you I'm okay. When did I leave it all behind? I thought that was our pride. We spent it on the bed.
And there we have it. The crank stopper is all together now. I am so pumped on the added resistance that this thing puts on to my crank arms. It's gonna make my tail whips way more dialed. Obviously, this is a massive trade-off because now just pedaling this bike around is absolutely going to suck. But that is a trade-off I'm willing to make. As with many things with this bike, such as the front brake through the steer tube, the single speed, this is not your average trail bike, but it sure is fun. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.